Hi there, this is Brent here as productivity coach, adjusting the camera view to get it all in. There we are. Cool, good to see you. So what I do is I guide people into high-level sustainable productivity. And so in this video, I'm very excited to present this to you. So the title of the video is Your Life Being Run by Obligation Energy? This is something that it's a lesson that started to come into my awareness from the periphery, where I just, that would just be the question. It's like, is my life being run by obligation energy? And, to what extent, am I doing things out of obligation or because of obligation? And to what extent is that necessary or natural? And to what extent can it be released? And even more importantly, what lies beyond it? Like, what does life look like if obligation or the sense of not enoughness is not running the show in our consciousness, and it's not the reason why we're doing everything? What becomes possible, and what would life look like? And so over the last kind of week or so, I've been exploring this and writing about it and speaking about it, and I want to make a video about it now, and so that's what this is for. I've changed it up a little bit, because usually when I make these videos, I'm making it, oh man, I just want to adjust this one more time. There we go. Almost there, because I want to sit up straight. Okay, there we go. Yeah. So when I make these videos, I kind of figure out what I'm saying as I'm saying it, and that's fun. It's kind of spontaneous and extemporaneous, and that's cool. But what I did this time around is I actually really took some time to figure out what it is that I mean to say, and I put it together in what I believe is a cohesive message. So I think this should be good, and I really think this will be very valuable. So I suggest you just set up camp with this, enjoy, relax. And please also leave a comment and a like and let me know what you thought about this. If this was impactful, if you have any other questions, if something doesn't make sense, any of it. So, two quick things before I jump in. One is I'm still open for $5 coaching sessions. I have a link below in the description. You can get a full one-on-one productivity coaching session with yours truly for just $5. It's fantastic. More info below. And then second one is that I'm currently putting together a course that's designed to help people find high-level prolific output. So artists, musicians, freelancers, writers, people who need to do a lot of something and kind of put it out, but struggle with procrastination and these kinds of things, please get in touch with me, because I'd like to just speak with you for 5 to 10 minutes and just ask you a few questions. So just put a comment below. You're like, hey, I'm a writer or a musician, and I'll get in touch. Thank you. Cool. So, is your life being run by obligation energy? So, let's see. So before we can jump into this, I need to set the stage by laying out a very foundational lesson about wellness. So when I say wellness, what I'm referring to is this sense of being good, being I'm well, everything is okay, I've come home, I'm relaxed, I'm satisfied. My life is good, my life is good as it is, but also it's moving in a good direction, and even from that good direction, even better directions are going on from there. I'm on my upward spiral of growth. I'm challenged in exactly all the right ways, and I don't have any problems that I'm losing sleep over. So that is what I refer to as wellness, just yes, everything is okay and I'm okay kind of thing. Some people refer to that as peace or satisfaction. And so what I have said in prior videos and what I want to say now is that this level of wellness that I'm describing is unconditioned. And so what that means is that despite what we believe, there are no actual conditions that must be met in order to attain this level of wellness. So we think, if I just had some more money, then I would be okay. But that's false. If we had more money, all it would mean is that we have more money. It wouldn't mean that we would be well. We can be healthier, more physically fit, we can have a better job, we can live in a different place. But this sense of just feeling okay and at home within your body and within your experience, sitting in the center of your experience, there's no condition required for it. So in other words, it's accessible right now. And all that's required to access it is to release your conditions. So all the conditions that you believe must be met before you can be well, to let go of them so that wellness can be accessed now. And then from that place, you can go after your different goals. Wellness does not mean an action. Like, it doesn't mean a lack of action. Wellness just means that you're well and you can act from that wellness. So that's as much as I want to really say on that topic, because I've gone really, really deep into these topics in other videos. So that's not really the scope of this right now. But except for this last point, which is that this wellness is absolute wellness, which is different from relative wellness. Relative wellness is when you have a little bit more money than you did yesterday. So it's like, okay, I have a little bit more money, so there's a few more things I can buy. I did a little bit more exercise, and now I'm a little bit more healthy. And so it's like you do certain things to increase different aspects of wellness, whether it's physical, emotional, mental wellness. But all of that's real and important and valid and true, but it's not the same as that fundamental wellness, which is unconditioned. Cool. So that is something that needs to be established. So now we take into the discussion this idea of obligation. So if you don't have obligation in your life, then what it means is that when you wake up in the morning, you are ready for the day. In fact, you feel attracted to your life. You feel pulled into your life. And there's like you feel good about it. You're excited to get into it. And it's almost the very definition of being in flow with life, being in the flow state. It's when you have you're just engaged with what you're doing, and you're not in any particular hurry to get to the next stage of your life or getting into the next phase of your life, say. You're exactly where you want to be, and things are moving at exactly the right pace. That is what it's like to live without obligation running in the background of your mind. So it is, of course, then ideal to not have obligation running. And it's better to release obligation as soon as we can. So why care about obligation? It precludes flow. We just discussed that. And the other thing too is that when we operate from obligation energy, or when obligation energy runs our life, what it means is that we always feel like we're behind. It always feels like we're either behind or in the negatives. There's always this sense of like, oh, I'm just trying to get to the 0 point, whereby after I can finally start living the life I actually want to live and doing the things I want to do and having the freedom that I want to experience. But until all of my obligations are satisfied, I'm bound and I'm behind and time is running out in a very scary, fundamental way. And so there's always a sense, so there's always a sense of behindness or belowness, or a sense of being in the negatives, or being like not where we believe we should be in our life. It's like, at this point in my life, I should be further along than I am. That's how you know obligation energy is running your life. And then finally, when obligation runs our life, we have turned these obligations into conditions on our wellness. So say if maybe you're an undergrad student, but you started a couple years later than everybody else, just as an example, and you look around and everybody's younger than you, and all the people that are your age are further along than you. And if you really believe that you're behind, you really believe that you're not where you should be, then what that will mean is that you're just trying to get through your undergrad. There's a part of you that is like holding your breath and contracting in your muscles. There will be a literal actual contraction in your muscles as you try to get through to the end. And there's a subtle belief in there that it's not until you get to the end of your undergrad that you will actually be okay and you can breathe easy and you can actually get on with your life in the way that you want to. But until then, you're bound. Think that makes sense? So that's why we should care about obligation energy. It operates on many levels. It's very, very subtle. It can sometimes be very explicit if we feel obligated to like somebody or something, but it can also be very, like, it can be so subtle that and so invisible that we're not even aware that we're operating from obligation energy. And so the better we get at recognizing it, the better we get at releasing it, the better and more juicy life can become. Because it bears mentioning at this point here that like in my view, and I bet in yours as well, life is really designed to be enjoyable. That might be a controversial statement, but when you show up, it's important to remember that there's no actual obligation of you. You could have, say, a parent who tries to kind of to get you to do something, or a sibling, or a friend, people who place expectations on you, people who place burdens on you, or perhaps you have societal burdens or job-based burdens. But these are all inventions by other people, and outside of other people, there's nothing actually obligated of you. You are free. You're very, very much free in that sense. There are still consequences to all of your actions. For example, if you don't make money, then you won't be able to, you might end up homeless, and that's a consequence. But you are free to take or not take those actions that would create those consequences. You are free to choose which consequences you want to go for. And so if say you want to become very successful and wealthy, then you're free to choose to work and kind of create that for yourself. But if you want to be lazy, you can also be lazy. And the same for many, many different choices and consequences. And so, but the major point that I really want to hammer on here is that, like, you on your own in a vacuum, there's nothing expected of you. You're free. You are, like, right now, you're free. You can get up and go somewhere, and you can make choices, and whatever happens will happen, but you are free to choose that. And so this is something I believe you already know. Like, this is, I imagine you, as you're listening to this, you're like, yeah, right, like, I know that, and I've already considered that, and I'm sure you have. It's very important to stay very closely in touch with that reality, because the more, with that truth, because the more you do, the more clear you become, and the more you can discern when obligation is running your life. So yeah, a little bit more on that later, but that's the rub. So obligation itself, it always takes the form of a should or must or like have to. It's like, I have to do this, I must do that. Here, the key piece to remember is this. When you say something like should, there's no such thing as a should in a vacuum. Whenever we say should, it always relates to some sort of consequence, some sort of desired consequence. In other words, I should go for a run every day. I should do cardio every day. Like, if I say that right, that might sound like true. But it's much more accurate, I think you might agree, if we were to say, I should do cardio every day if I want to have a healthy body, or a healthy heart, or a healthy blood flow, or something. It's so the action and the intended consequence. That's very important, because if you just say, I should do cardio every day, that's obligation. And when you say that, if you really say that and really believe it, then you will really believe that you are behind in some way if you don't. You will believe, check this out, that you're failing if you don't do cardio every day. If you just like take a blanket statement like, I should do cardio every day, and you take it in and you're like, this is true, and you believe it, then every time you do cardio, you can feel okay about yourself. In other words, you may access your unconditional wellness that you've put a condition on. And if you don't do cardio, then you will not unconsciously permit yourself to access that unconditional wellness because you haven't met the condition. So with that said, like, maybe take a second to think, like, what do you feel obligated to? Like, in the sense of, like, in what way do you feel behind in your life, or in the negatives? Like, what conditions do you really think need to be met in order for you to feel like everything can be okay and you can feel good about yourself? If you really want to stop obligation energy from running your life, take a minute and, like, write down the list. Like right now or after this video, open up a new document on your computer and just write out all the stuff that you believe you need to do before you can finally feel good about yourself. Like, feel really good. It'll be very, very interesting. And so then when you do that, when you write out that list, complete the whole list as much as you can. It might be a couple pages. It can be long, right? It's like all the shit that I need to do before, like, I can finally feel like I'm free. I'm like, after that, I'm free to do whatever I want. I'm free to live the life I really want to live. Like, that vibe. Look at that list, and then when it's done, see that all of these are conditions that you've placed on your own wellness. That these are all obligations that you've bought into. Cool. So actually, we're getting close to it. That's honestly the core of this lesson. The last piece is how to dissolve. You can dissolve obligation energy out of your life by doing what I just said. So just list out all your obligations and note the extent to which you believe you must do them. Like, you must, period. I must do this, period. And almost like, notice, this is really important. Notice that if you really believe you must do something, like, I must quit smoking cigarettes. That's a challenging one, right? So I must quit smoking cigarettes. A statement like that would be, when we really believe it on its face, it will kind of spike out at us. It will resist being looked at. You'll get a little reaction like, of course it is. Don't even question this. You know, it's almost like when you go into church and you say that God doesn't exist, and people are like, shh, don't say that, right? There's like a blasphemy feel about it. That's how you know you're kind of stumbling upon something valuable. So it's like, you know, I should quit smoking. You know, it's that is false if the statement ends there. It's true if you say, I should quit smoking if I want to live longer and have healthier lungs and experience a better body and to feel less sluggish and to have less poison in my body. If that's what I want, then I should quit smoking. And it might almost seem like insignificant, like we're splitting hairs, but it's very, very important because just to believe I should stop smoking, you're still confusing your conditioned wellness with your unconditioned wellness. So do that. And then like the final piece is notice, just casually, like don't go overboard with this, but just notice the rest of your life. Notice if you hear yourself saying, I have to do this or I must do that. And instead of believing that, instead of buying into this idea, I have to do something, whatever it is, I have to go to work, I have to make money, I have to drink water, whatever it is, and switch up your language and your thinking to choice. Even the stuff that you have like no choice over, choose that nevertheless. Choose even the things about which you appear not to have a choice. Like, I choose, suppose you want to go to a different home, but you're stuck in your current home. And so it's like, I choose to be here instead of I'm stuck here or I have to be here. I choose to be here. It's a way of it's a way of reclaiming control in the sense that you're releasing this sort of negative resistance that you have towards some element of your situation. You choose your reality as it is, and it kind of clarifies you a little bit more to figure out where you do have choice and where you can influence your reality in the highest and best way. There we are, 20 minutes. So, is obligation energy running your life? If so, I want to turn, like the main takeaway is don't allow obligation to don't allow obligation to run your life. If you find it's running your life, question the obligations. The obligations themselves will always pan out to be false. It always comes down to a confusion between your conditioned and unconditioned wellness. And so in order to parse them out, take a blanket statement like I should blank, and then acquaint it back with the consequence that it's going to lead to, and then choose accordingly. Choose accordingly from there. If you're able to do it and you want to, you choose it. If not, you choose otherwise. And that is how you will find yourself sitting back in the seat of power in your life. So fair enough. If I'm being totally honest, I feel like this has come out about 80% as clear as I'd like it to. So I think I might continue to explore this kind of idea as I go further into it. But I hope you got a lot out of this. I'd be very grateful if you left a comment to let me know. In the meantime, I believe in you. I so much want for you to be in control of your life, and please continue to commit to your growth, because we need everybody strong and powerful now, and it's within your ability to be strong and powerful. I promise. All right, that's all. Thank you. Bye.